Art is taking on new forms with emerging technology and modern mediums, but we have a guest with us today who expresses herself with traditional materials that connects with her own background as a Korean American. Artist Tracy Lim majored in Asian art in Suwon, South Korea, before earning a master's degree in Switzerland, where she has held numerous exhibitions to critical acclaim. When not focusing on her own work, she's shared her experience and knowledge in classrooms around the world as well. Here to tell us about her art and her story, I'm delighted to say that she has joined us now in the studio for Touch Base in Seoul. Ms. Im, hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, my name is Tracy Lim. I'm a Korean American artist who's based now in Switzerland.
Okay, and yes, so you're an artist. You're currently living in Switzerland, I understand, creating an array of works. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal story and your personal journey? How did you become an artist in the first place?
So when I think about how I became an artist is I can go back to my childhood. I think I really liked drawing. And one of my friends actually in class, when I was very young, she told me a story that we had like an art class drawing trees, and everyone was drawing the same, painting the same, with the same colors, like as the teacher told to. But she told me that I was painting in red, so with a different red-brown color. So I guess I was really a bit in my world of discovering a new way of painting trees. So I think I had already a way of a specialty to discover a new way for painting maybe that I liked. And when I moved from the States to Korea, I had some difficulties speaking Korean, and I went to Korean school.
Right, this is when I believe you were around 10 years old?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I went even more into the world of art, expressing in my emotions in art. And I used to go always to like an atelier of art, and that made me go to University of Asian Art in South Korea. And then eventually I went to Switzerland to study more, but that's how I started art, I think, yeah.
Right, so you're born with an artist's eye, it seems, and that's carried you through to make this into your career as well. So you became an artist. Can you tell us also about how your background and your education, how that has affected your work as well? Because I understand that is an important element of it.
Right. So I was born in the States, in New York, and I was raised until 10 in New Jersey. Then my parents decided to go back to Korea, and I went to South Korea, Seoul, and I went to university in Korea. So it was like 1/3 in New York, 1/3 in South Korea. And then I decided to do my master's in Switzerland. So 1/3 of my life is now in Switzerland.
Sure.
Yeah. And this kind of affects me because I think the background is very special, and it kind of shows also in my artwork. And because to live in 3 different countries also, I think that's very special in a way. Learning the culture, learning the language. And in South Korea, I studied Asian art, like Korean art. And this also affects my artwork because I use a lot of Asian traditional techniques in my work. So I think that that's very special as well.
Sure. Let's learn a bit more about that through your debut piece, the acclaimed artwork, the Passage of Fischl. This won you the 2014 prize, the Prix Fondation Beau Projet Artiste in Switzerland. Can you introduce us to this work? Fischl, it's a small farming village in Switzerland,
Exactly.
right? That was
Right.
transformed by an aluminium manufacturing factory.
Exactly, yes.
So can you tell us more about this work?
Yes. So why I got interested in this work is, so I was looking for an apartment because I got into a school called ECAV, ECAV. It's a public master university, and I didn't yet go to Switzerland and looking for an apartment. I just found a nice apartment in the town called Chippies, and I didn't know anything about it. So I was wondering what kind of town should it be. And when I arrived to Switzerland, I started to walk around, and it was interesting because Sierre, there's Sierre, called the town named Sierre, and a town named Chippies. Chippies is where I used to live. And in between, there was a bridge. And it felt like about before in the past, when I was living in the States, crossing the George Washington Bridge from New Jersey to New York. So this border of, it's much way in a small
Smaller scale.
yeah, exactly. A small scale. And it gave me a bit of nostalgia and the throwback of the past. And people like saying, if I live in Chippies, nobody knew where it was actually for the Swiss people as
Even
well.
the Swiss people,
Exactly.
wow. Okay.
So I was like, what the hell? Like, what kind of town am I living? And when you discover and you arrive to Switzerland, you want to know the town. And I was walking all around, and there was really no one. It felt like a bit like a ghost town, but then there were buildings that were like kind of nice, but it was always locked. Like the city hall, I thought it was locked. And then I discovered it was like an aluminium factory. And when the aluminium factory came in 1910, they built a lot of buildings for people who were working there, because the town was it's small, but still there were people, 10,000 people coming into this town in the past. So now it's like the second generation or a third generation who are living there. And I wanted to know more about this town because I'm very interested in undocumented stories, oral history, and starting to meet people with stories whose family or father, mother were working there. I started to discover a lot of stories in the background, and that gave me interest actually to research in this town.
And the factory, is that still exist, or is it shut
still
down?
exists.
Okay.
But the people were a bit mad in a way that there's no more care, and it's downsized. So it's not like in the past.
Right.
Right. So this is why I got very interested in this subject. Then I wanted to, since I was the only Asian in the town, I wanted to see in my point of view of walking through as well in this industrial town that was downsized. And I wanted to make a new story. So I used rice paper of building a folded screen. And in Korean, it's called 병풍. And I put rice paper with the technique I used with the pen. And it's a very huge folded screen. It's 20 meters.
Right, wow.
Yeah.
So it's a vast work. I've seen it. So it's black and white, as you said,
Exactly.
on a hanji paper, I think you told me
Yes.
earlier as well, which is where your traditional Korean arts schooling, I guess, comes in. For our listeners who I think might be curious, I think we will have photos of it on our social media accounts as well, so they can check that out. So it is a sort of tribute to Chippies then, and also a sort of social commentary as well.
Exactly.
Okay. And as you said, it won this prize in Switzerland for young artists. What was that like? What did it mean for you to have your work recognized in that way?
It was the first debut to come out to the world of the art world, I would say. And when I released this in the exhibition with this prize, there was a lot of people who were interested. And in the art field as well, I was invited to a lot of Swiss art museums. And the Swiss government also was very interested in my work. They made it as an archive to maintain it for their descendants.
Wow.
And in libraries, my books are all in public libraries, and it was very meaningful for me.
Right, so it's not just the fact that it was meaningful for you, it's the fact that the Swiss government appreciated it enough to keep a record of it.
Exactly.
That must be so fulfilling for you as an artist, to have your work recognized not just by your peers, but by a whole government, essentially.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible, and that really puts your name on the map, it seemed, in the art world. Tell us more about some of your other projects as well. There was 6 artworks under the theme of When Flowers Bloom. That's set to make an exhibition at Christie's London auction, I believe, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So I'm going to Christie's in London with Omer Foundation. And actually, it's going to be a charity donation to raise funds to support the research and development of a new era of health, coupling traditional medicine and holistic healing to offer treatment for people who are in need and development of technology. So longevity medicine can become accessible to everyone. And the title is When the Flowers Bloom. And I also use traditional Korean techniques on this paintings. It's called changji, rice paper. So it's like 2 layers of hanji compressed together.
Right.
So it's like a special word for 2 hanjis sticking together called changji. And it's with a lot of layers with traditional watercolors and paper. And it's a creation, this creation carries with symbolism of like immigration and as well as nostalgia of personal story, which is mine. And in the 80s, my parents went to the States, to New York to study. And before, like, people with immigration, they like to take souvenirs of small stuff to take with them. So my mom, she took seeds of cosmos. It's a flower. And I know there's other flowers like cosmos in other countries too, but it's different. It's a bit special, the way how it looks like. And she planted it in the garden of our house. So it's also as well a nostalgia for me as this flower. And this flower is like a symbolic meaning. And this flower, it's like the flowers normally, they go with the flow with the wind. So it's kind of like a symbolic meaning of with the wind to go somewhere. Where is home, nostalgia, and like that, yeah.
It's interesting that you keep your traditional Korean roots in your artwork. It seems like a very important part of it. On that note as well, I understand that you are currently in Korea because you're also researching for another project.
Right.
This time, again, exploring something to do with communities and coal mines in Korea, right?
Right?
Can you briefly tell us about that before we go as well?
Yes. So I am very interested in oral history, like undocumented history, which cannot really find on the internet or people forgot about the topics. And when I was living in Switzerland, I also was interested in coal mines, industrial towns that were forgotten. And I found out that in Korea, there were quite a lot of coal mines, and they have it in Gangwon-do, Cheongseong, and Yeongwon, and Hwasun. Some are closed, some are not closed. And I'm also interested in buildings that kind of transforms. Like before, it was like a different cause of building that got transformed into museums or something like that. So I went to actually Gangwon Jongseon to see the town, and this kind of what I discovered in this town is that there are some histories in behind. So now my project is to meet people and to discover this history of all different people who used to live there or work there, to know the history, because everyone has different histories.
Sure.
Yeah. And my plan, I don't know how the outcome will be, but I would like to gather all the histories and see it in my point of view to create something in the artwork. Yeah.
Well, we certainly look forward to that future work. I think it will be fascinating to see how you translate the experiences, your experiences and the stories you hear from that region into that work. And perhaps we can have you back on again on the show to talk about that work in the future once you have it completed as well. I think we'd love to talk to you about it in the future. But for today, we're going to have to leave it there. We've been talking to artist Tracy Lim. Thank you once again for your time today.
Thank you for inviting me.